A flaw in Exim is leaving millions of Linux servers vulnerable.
Hey, Mike, I heard there was a pretty serious flaw affecting Exim email servers. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so attackers are exploiting, like you said, a pretty critical flaw in the popular Linux Exim mail transport agents, MTA, allowing for remote command execution. So Exim, it's like an SMTP mail relay. It's pretty popular. It runs on some say up to 50, high 50s, high 57% of the internet mail servers, and it's a default MTA on some of the Linux systems. So per Shodan, like a recent Shodan scan, it could affect up to 3.5 million vulnerable servers that are currently exposed to this. So the bug itself, they tracked it down to improper validation in some of the recipient addresses in one of the functions. Pretty serious. The CVSS v3 scale, they gave it a 9.8 out of 10. It affects versions 4.87 through 4.98. I think the latest version, 4.92, is unaffected.
So it's a big bug, and it is a remote code execution bug, which is one of the most critical types you could possibly have.
They do have patches out. They're porting that to all versions back to 4.87 if you're using an older version. So just make sure you're, keeping getting that patch and making sure you're up to date with the most recent version, because it's a pretty serious issue.
Wow. So I mean, it sounds like it's something you could just put in the plain old, like, you address the email to somebody, and you just drop the exploit in there, and it's remote code execution.
Yeah, it seemed like it's a pretty simple to exploit, and again, so much that you can actually they actually have a worm that's exploiting this and finding new systems.
Wow.
From what I understand, and I think I've got the right bug here, it's the actual mail address that you're actually you can actually put a command that eventually the server will run, but from what I understand, the server, it'll take 7 days before it actually activates so there's some sort of timeout that happens where it's validating whether or not it's a valid mail recipient, and then after 7 days, I think it does this timeout and then runs the actual command.
That's
right.
Interesting. But that means like I could hand type the exploit code that I need here. Is that roughly correct, or is it something you'd have to craft? It's a little more difficult to do?
Right. So the example that I saw, and I don't know, Mike, if this is the example you saw. The example I saw was just a simple command where it went and did a get to an actual external IP address.
So like you're getting a shell.
Yeah, pretty much. Or you can have the box basically go run some code offline or off net, right? So it gives you an open command line to run whatever you want on the box.
So it's totally possible that your box has been exploited and you won't know for 7 days?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's a scary thought, right?
The sky is the limit when it comes to a bad actor that wants to take advantage of this vulnerability. They can come up with anything they want to. They want to use the boxes for cryptocurrency, they can. They can, if they want to set them up to do DDoS attacks, they can. I think, Mike, you said that there is a patch for it, right?
Yeah, so they patched every vulnerable version, so they're backporting it available. So they're recommending that everybody obviously go out and install that patch. I also saw Microsoft issued a couple other advisories themselves specifically for Azure, because they're seeing this activity, and they're recommending, obviously, they have an Azure-based workload running the affected version, that you should go out and make sure you patch those.
All right.
Yeah,
wow.
Like I said, it was an interesting one. That's one of the pieces that I saw. I was like, wow, that's a new one. That's gives you a little bit of time. Now I don't know what you can do so if you're a server admin. What can you do? I'm assuming there's a way for you to do a lookup. I didn't look at the actual what you actually how you have to craft the recipient address. But I'm assuming there's some way for you to do some sort of search through your mail server to figure out whether you've got one of these things sitting in state, waiting
somewhere in the queue.
Right.
It's still trying to validate the recipient.
Yeah.
I wonder.
I mean, there's got to be some way. If there isn't today, I'm sure somebody's going to develop a way to run that search across your mail server to figure this out. to figure out if you do need to go ahead and do a reboot and
Yeah, so
or
that also
purge.
means, because we just talked about how you don't want to reboot your mail servers. And on another bug we just talked about, where it's like no one really wants to have to shut everything down to patch because they have to maintain their uptime.
Yep.
Maybe there's a temporary fix, or at least some sort of response you can do in the meantime until you can schedule that maintenance window.
Yep. Yeah.
With the amount of email that's being sent to out into the internet any given day, I mean, nothing prevents people from trying over and over again until it happens. So either you catch all of it successfully, or you don't. But really, the best thing to do at this point is still to patch.